What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome. Week 10 edition of Matchup Points coming at you right now, live on the interwebs, YouTube, FantasyPoints.com. I'm John Hansen, Graham Barfield, Brett Whitefield, Two Fields, Tommy T-Bone on the other side of the glass. A lot of games to get to, and we'll dive right on all up into it, starting with Cincinnati at Baltimore. We were just talking off air. Go to you, Graham. Mark Andrews, I feel good. It's always been a good match. Well, always, but the Bengals traditionally have been pretty giving against tight ends. You could talk about Zay Flowers here. No likely. What do you think here on Mark Andrews?
Yeah, Zay Flowers is just heating up, but I do like Andrews with you. I'm with you tonight, John. I'm with you on Andrews. I think the role continues to grow. He's kind of been, 45 to 60% of the routes over the last couple of weeks, but that's going to change tonight. Isaiah likely is out with this hamstring injury, and Andrews has been pretty good. Last 5 weeks, he's had 20 targets, averaging 13 fantasy points per game, second and first three targets behind Zay Flowers, which is always a strong signal. And like you mentioned, this is a pretty good spot. Bengals are giving up the 8th most yards per game to opposing tight ends. I drafted Mark Andrews, unfortunately, in a lot of leagues, and I'm playing him, I think, in every single one, John, except for the ones where I picked up our boy, Cade Otton.
Oh, K-Dot, not rotten.
There you go.
Brett, can Zay Flowers ball out like every week? I mean, the dude's gone, what is it, 100 yards in 3 of his last 4 or 4 of his last 5? Like, they know it's coming. It is a good schematic matchup, so they get him the ball near the line of scrimmage, but although that's expanding, I mean, how awesome is Zay Flowers, and is he at this point, I mean, I won't say unstoppable, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love him. I love that there's an intentionality with moving him around to get him away from scary matchups too. Like last week against Denver, I think he had the highest slot rate he's had all year against Denver, knowing Surtain was not going to follow him to the slot very often. They found that out early in the game and they just exploited it. So I love that intentionality. This week we might see the opposite because I think Cincinnati's best corner right now might be Mike Hilton. And so
absolutely,
you see Zay on the outside a little bit more, picking on those guys who have really struggled out there for Cincinnati.
Any thoughts on Derrick Henry up against this Bengal D? I mean, they're not bad, but they're certainly not great.
Yeah, they actually hemmed him up pretty good the last time these two teams played just a few weeks ago, where, gosh, I think it was a 40-yard run right at the end of the game to get Derrick his stats on the day. I think up until that point, he had like 20 carries for 50 yards or something. So wasn't pretty, but he ended up getting the job done. So yeah, I think the Bengals run defense is actually really solid here. So could be it could be tough for him. The thing is with Henry though, man, he breaks one of those a game, so it's hard to count him out.
I heard a stat today about them being bad against the run when the quarterback's under center. And by the way, does anyone have any thoughts? Because I went in on a Lamar Jackson under 50.5 rushing yards. I know it's probably going to have a lot of dropbacks if it's going to be a higher scoring game. But at this point, Brett, like, why would you want Lamar running at this point with all their receiver weapons? You can win with his arm now and Derrick Henry. So I would say chill out a little bit on that.
Yeah, I think you are seeing that to an extent. The designed QB runs have gone down for sure. The threat of the run's always there, and then he will take what's there though in the pass game. If he's got an easy scramble to pick up a first down, he'll go grab it. But I agree with you though. I don't think you'll see them run on QB power and GT counter bash like they used to.
Graham, are we gonna say some good things about Mike Gesicki here and officially curse him and make sure he shits the bed for us? Because he's looking good on paper.
Yeah, no, this has been amazing on paper matchup. We've been all over this for a few weeks now. Ravens against inline slot tight ends just getting hammered. And the trends with Gesicki, you've heard him, until you're blue in the face now, just really strong without T. Higgins, 19% of the targets, 15 fantasy points per game. And now Eric All's out. So Eric All tore his ACL last week. It's going to clear the way for Gesicki to run way more routes. Last week, Gesicki was involved on 61% of the team's pass play. So hopefully we get Gesicki above like 70%. And he's, just like last week, John, the best tight end streamer play of the week. But yeah, he's certainly cursed. Everybody's on this now. Everybody's on the Gesicki trend without Higgins. So this is certainly the 4 catch for 30-yard game.
I was very close to playing the Tanner Hudson prop over.
Oh, where are you?
Just to be a contrarian prick. No. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. What else here? Well, certainly, Brett, back to you with Jamar Chase. Like, he crushed him last time, but what is up? My man is averaging 8.6 yards of reception in his last 4. That is some repugnant shit right there.
Yeah, Zach Taylor continues to be a fake offensive-minded coach. He has no idea what he's doing. And anytime T. Higgins isn't in the lineup, they go to this Mickey Mouse pass game approach. It's embarrassing, honestly. You can't get Jamar Chase a target more than 10 yards downfield. Give me a freaking break. It's seriously, it's obnoxious to watch. I can't.
Yeah,
I get he's a good player. He is a good player. He does unlock things for you, but they just turn Jamar Chase into Zay Flowers is what they do. I mean,
it's worse than Brett. It's worse than that, because you made this comment a couple weeks ago that I've just kind of stuck in the back of my mind. I have been tracking it. Chase's average depth of target in 4 games without Higgins is 5.5 yards.
Oh my, that is barf gross.
I mean, that's
yuck,
dude. That's worse than JSN. That's like bottom of the NFL bad. I think I mean, the good news is this is just such a good matchup. But Chase, he's probably going to have to get there with 8 or 9 receptions tonight, just like he has been.
Right. Oh, sure. Yeah, he'll get 10.
Too, right. Baltimore's been gashed in the middle of their defense. I know Humphrey's playing more in the slot than he was. I still think that's a good spot for him to win, though.
It is. Yeah.
What did you think of the corner edition? What's his name? Didn't they just add the corner?
Yeah, Trey White.
Yeah.
That's just a depth move. They had, I think, when they made the trade, they had 3 healthy corners on the active roster. So it's just a depth piece. They were 1 injury away from putting that,
sure,
Kyle Hamilton at outside corner. So
yep. Let's go to the Giants and Panthers. And again, I was not in on Malik Neighbors this summer. I never said he wasn't a stud. I remember the early conversations, here on the site. I'm like, I don't know, man, this guy's got. But I was not in. I lost a prop last week. First time I've delved into it, of course. But I'm back here. I mean, Graham, if Neighbors doesn't drop 100 here, then I don't know what else. Then we're in trouble, I'd say.
Yeah, it's Daniel Jones putting us in trouble. I mean, that first half was some of the worst football I think I've watched all year last week. I mean, they just didn't even try to throw the ball. They came out in the second half and it was a lot better, but it's just all the shallow stuff. I've been saying it all year. Jones just can't throw deep, and that's just really, it's just harpooned the upside of this offense. But yeah, I mean, amazing matchup. I mean, Panthers are giving up 2.3 yards per route run to opposing outside wide receivers. Only Jacksonville and Los Angeles Rams are worse. So yeah, it is a great spot, but it's just all on Jones at this point. And I mean, the matchup is amazing, but I think Neighbors is just kind of is what he is. He's just a volume-based wide receiver too. I mean, he's on pace for 180 targets, but touchdowns, big plays are going to be hard to come by for the rest of the season, I think.
Yeah, and while he did ball out early in the year as the sample size increased, Brett, I mean, it's got to be hard to continue to feed this man the way they have been when defenses at this point are not particularly worried about big air yard throws, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to pour a little water on the Neighbors party. I think what you've seen from the Giants recently is a very run-heavy approach. They had 21 designed runs in the first half of Sunday's game.
Yeah, it was all Danny.
There's not NFL
Danny.
teams. There's not NFL teams doing that anymore in the NFL. It's kind of crazy. So if they don't have to pass, I don't think they want to. And this is a game. Carolina's given up 100 yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground already. So I don't see a situation where the Giants are going to feel like they have to pass the ball. Now, his Neighbor's going to get his high volume targets and potentially turn that in. Sure. I don't think this is I certainly don't think it's a slam dunk. I'm way more apt to play Tyrone Tracy and call that a slam dunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Didn't they kind of played like that the year they made the playoffs too, right?
Yeah, very much so. A lot of quarterback.
Very much.
Very heavy run approach. Saquon, that was probably the best year of his career until this year. So
Absolutely. That completely, when I was watching it, I'm like, this reminds me of 2022 Giants. Yeah. That's a great point. Well, too late. I'm already on the prop, but he'll maximize the targets. He'll get 8 or 9. He's got to. I mean, what are they going to throw for 70 yards on the day? I mean, I guess clearing 100 might be an accomplishment.
The volume will be amazing. Darius Slayton's not traveling with the team. He's got a concussion.
Oh, I didn't know
it's
that.
Just going to be
right.
Yeah, it's just going to be all neighbors and Wandale underneath.
Right. Well,
yeah,
that too.
We got to talk Tyrone Tracy. I mean, this dude is incredible. I don't know if he's like fully ethered Devin Singletary. I don't think it's like over. They're splitting passing down work, but he has the majority of the carries, 36-9 for Singletary, in favor of Tracy. And I mean, Carolina's just getting, creamed. 170 scrimmage yards per game allowed to opposing running backs. Tracy, if you were playing Showdown, DraftKings Showdown in DFS, I think Tracy and Captain is like certainly the optimal. He's underpriced, and the spot is just incredible.
Yeah, we should mention the game also in Munich, whatever.
Yep.
For whatever that's worth. Maybe like Xavier Legette if you need someone. He has scored in like 4 of his last 6.
I like Legette in the spot, John. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah. He's been pretty good.
Yeah, he has been pretty good. Yeah.
Let's go to New England and Chicago. And Brett, I'll ask you about Ramondre Stevenson. And right after I ask you about him, I'm going to walk over across the room and turn on my ceiling fan because I'm starting to sweat my ass off. Because even though it's November, I'm on the basically 3rd floor and it still feels like it's 80 degrees out. So good schematic matchup, Brett, for Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, good schematic matchup. The Bears' run defense, too, is a little overrated, guys. Like, they're slipping. They're allowing 5 yards a carry on the season, which is crazy. I think it's being covered up because they've been in some wild game scripts a few times where there's, the other team basically just stops running the ball in the second half. Like, their pass rate over expectation against has been out of whack in like 3 or 4 of their games. So, but they rank dead last in yards before contact allowed as well, 2.56. I know New England doesn't really block it up super well, but the fact that Chicago's been that leaky is a good sign. And Ramondre's done well in these types of games this season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling good about this one. And I always like on your show, John, I like teasing a guy who people wouldn't expect to have a great game. I think this would be a great game for Ramondre.
Yeah, I mean, the prop was 50 yards, and I'm already in on it. That's pretty good, man. 50.5. Graham, you have been the something just fell in the other room. I have no idea what the hell that was. Graham, you have been the Drake May supporter.
Yeah.
I started writing this up already. This does look like a tougher spot here for May. They're throwing it a lot. Not a great matchup in terms of the Bears getting pressure and May getting pressured.
Yeah. I mean, May for me is the main reason I like him is he's such an awesome scrambler. I mean, he has nearly 200 scramble yards on 19 carries and 13 quarters of action. I mean, for fantasy, that's just huge. He's averaging, borderline quarterback 1, like low end quarterback 1 numbers. And
I mean, there's a little Josh Allen there if you squint.
Yeah, the passing has been an up and down. I mean, the decision making certainly been up and down. Obviously, the pass catchers are not great, but this rushing is super underrated. It is a really tough spot, though. I mean, only the Jets are giving up fewer passing fantasy points per game than the Bears are. And just to put a bow on the Ramondre talk, I was saying this week, like, I think he's an awesome buy low. With May under center, the Patriots have scored a touchdown on 23% of their possessions. That's up from 9% in weeks 1 through 5 when they were basically the worst offense in the NFL. So getting some like legitimate touchdown, upside here is just massive for Stevenson. And his rest of season schedule is not bad. I'm always one of the guys on the staff that, like, I don't really care if he's a bad running back. If a guy is going to get great volume, it doesn't matter. And Ramondre, we know, is a great running back. We know he can be super efficient, even though the offensive line isn't good. So I'm definitely buying Stevenson long term here.
Yeah. All makes sense here. And, there is something to be said for what he poses with his legs, the threat of that, opening things up a little bit. I mean, it's clear. I mean, look at Johnny Taylor last week with freaking Bro Flacco. Great matchup for Swift. Brett, where the F are we with Caleb Williams and this passing game? Is Rome Odunze starting to come on? Because it feels like that's his bra. DJ Moore out there pouting, though. DJ Moore, obviously up against a team that plays more man than most. That would be a good situation for DJ Moore.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Caleb's been a roller coaster. You know, we thought he was making improvements, and then the last two have been kind of rough. So I'm not sure. I think New England, their defense is still pretty good. When they're not backs against the wall and they're in competitive games, the defense plays really well. Yeah. You know, it's when their offense is going 3 and out every series, that's when you see them wear down. So I think they should be more competitive in this game. I do agree with your Swift take. I think this is a good matchup for them. I think with the way Caleb's playing right now, the Bears have made it apparent that the run game's going to be a big part of what they're doing, and Swift is obviously back on track. And so I like that. I don't know who to pick at receiver, I guess is what I was getting at here. I don't have a take. A guy I like. It could be any of the three, but yeah, I'm all in on.
It's got to be DJ Moore. I think it's Moore. Graham, don't you think? I mean, that, you know, it worked in Chicago when Fields was there last year, at the very least. Like, it kind of worked. Like, when he was up against man-heavy teams, he tended to do well.
Yeah, it's Caleb at this point. You know, like Brett was saying, I mean, Moore has 3 awesome back-to-back matchups that he's all airballed. He played against the Jags, Washington, and Arizona. 18 targets, John. Only 11 were catchable. I mean, this is just all bad. It's all
not him at all. It's not Moore. Yeah,
it's all on Caleb and coaching at this point. The passing offense is still just super vanilla.
It looks terrible. It just looks like absolute dog dirt. Like, it just looks bad. I can't even articulate exactly why.
ISO routes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not studying it all that, but just like, you know, if I was cryogenically frozen for 30 years, I was just like, what do you think of that? I'm like, that sucks. Buffalo at Indy. I like this matchup here. Graham, I'll go back to you. How about our guy Josh Downs? Like, it's all lining up for Josh Downs.
Yes, it is. And, you know, he got the 9 targets last week. Flacco was not fantastic, but the role is just incredible. 34% of Flacco's first reads in his 3 starts. Pittman and Adonai Mitchell are second, 16% first read target share. I mean, Downs that's like borderline wide receiver 1-ish volume for Downs. Love him again this week. John, I wanted to highlight our boy Khalil Shakir. This is an amazing spot for Shakir, just flipping over the other side.
Is.
Colts play a ton of cover 3. You know, that's what Gus Bradley does. They call cover 3 41% of the time, and Shakir is just crushing cover 3. Leads the team in targets, first reads, and yards per route run against cover 3. Love him this week, especially we don't know what's going on with Keon Coleman. Coleman has this wrist injury, and it seems like he might miss a couple weeks. Then Amari Cooper missed last week, so it all kind of just lines up for Shakir to get a really good volume again.
Yeah, no doubt. You don't want to start him against man. You don't maybe want to use Kincaid against anything, but if you do use him, you want him against zone. And
John, you've been the whisperer for tight ends against the Colts, and this is a pretty good spot for Kincaid.
It's got to.
If you're not feeling it, then it definitely says something.
No. I'm kind of feeling it. No,
okay,
but sadly, in his case, what I'm feeling is a bonanza is 5 for 50. You know?
Yeah, fair enough.
But
with the hope he gets a touchdown.
Right.
The type of guys that the Colts struggle against is Dalton Kincaid types.
Yeah.
Guys that line up out wide in the slot, they get nuked by them. You know, schedule adjusted things. They're last in the league against those types of tight ends. So I think it's a great spot. I like Cooper though, guys. I know we're like all scattershot here with Shakir, Kincaid. I mean, obviously I think the Bills just run over the Colts, so there's probably plenty of opportunities to go around, but Colts are awful against outside wide receivers. Just terrible. They don't have any corners that can play. They're going to play a ton of cover 3. Cooper, I think, can dominate that. He has his entire career. I really, if he's playing and healthy, I really do think this is a breakout game for him in this Bills offense.
Brett, he is an awesome buy low right now. It's just, you know, it's so hard to understand. Like, I guess the hardest thing this week specifically is just how many routes he runs. I mean, he was 60% route share, but I mean, Bills are the most pass heavy team in the league over the last 3 games, 11% pass rate over expectation. So if we get Cooper in a full-time role in this offense and they keep throwing, like, man, he's such a good buy right now.
Yep.
Yeah, they also have allowed the third most receiving yards on throws traveling 20-plus yards downfield, as well as the fifth most outside wideout. So even though he is not as good against zone, I already wrote it up for my Sunday article, believe it or not. I'm actually ahead of time. So I'm with you. I like it too. I think Johnny Taylor should be all right here. Mike Pittman, forget it. I talked with Doc Addicks today, and he went to Harvard. He played in the NFL. He's an orthopedic surgeon. He's like, I don't know what the hell is going on with this guy. Like, why is he out there playing? Why don't they just sit him down for a couple of weeks? I think he's out of practice anyway. James Cook, Ray Davis. Any thoughts on the running game? I mean, solid matchup, I'm sure, Brett. And it's not like Ray Davis is taking over for James Cook, but our guy did make a great passing touchdown play last week.
He's awesome in the pass game, legitimately awesome. It's weird because they were so run heavy, and then Ray Davis started emerging, and all of a sudden they're going the other way. It's so weird to me. It's like you finally have the two-headed monster that you needed and wanted, and now you're going pass heavy. And what's weird too is the game script hasn't really called for it.
Yep,
I know.
They didn't need to go pass heavy to destroy the Dolphins last week. It was kind of a weird choice.
Right. That was my prediction, that they would be like a 60-40.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. It's not like no one said, hey, you were wrong about Ray Davis, because they have the gift of sight, and they know he's good. What else?
The gift of sight. I do think the Bills sticking with the pass last week confirmed it's not a fluke. Like, because I kind of have the same thought too, Brett. Like they blew the doors off Seattle a few weeks ago, and they threw a ton. And then last week the game was really close, and they were like among the top most pass heavy teams again. So there's definitely some signal there.
Maybe they're starting to ramp it up here, try and make a playoff run and beat the Chiefs. You got points come out of the passing game.
I think that's really it, John. That you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Minnesota at Jacksonville game. Graham, I'm actually considering going to this thing. I live an hour away.
Oh, don't do it. No, Trevor. It's going to be Mac Jones. Avoid your
I'm a Mac Jones guy. I love Mac Jones. McCorkle, that's my brah.
There's no way Jones plays worse than Lawrence has. Come on.
What's that, Brett?
There's no way Jones plays worse than Lawrence. Come on.
Yeah.
I think Jones could play better than Lawrence, Brett.
I agree. I'm a Mac Jones guy. So
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
After watching Lawrence last week, I'm with you guys on that one. I did go
Don't
back.
Forget
and look.
what.
Jones did have the second highest turnover worthy throw rate, I think, last season. But I don't really think it matters too much given the quarterback play here.
Jones was broken. You got to think back how good he was that rookie year, man. He was really good. And I did a radio show with Charlie Weiss that year. And I liked Mac Jones, and I thought he looked really good in the preseason. And I have a very good memory. Like I see things and I put it in a video cassette in my brain, and I can conjure up like watching Brady, like the first couple of times, you saw him. So I asked him, how does he compare? I said, how does Mac Jones compare to Brady, let's say in year 2? He said he's advanced where Brady was in going into year 2. Mac Jones was advanced. So then he played very well. Anyway,
I did like the Jags buying low on Mac. I mean, there was just like no risk in that, but
oh yeah,
man, it might be bad when he outplays T-Law, because I think I'm with you guys. I think there's a better, probably like a 55 or 60% chance that happens, because T-Law has just been so up and down this year. Brett, how do you think this changes up how the Jags run their offense, though? Obviously, it's been mostly through Ingram. Does Jones have any tendencies that you can remember, or you've seen that we can kind of earmark here?
He's going to be way more willing to attack outside the numbers down the field than Lawrence is. Like he just sees it way faster. Like that's one thing I always loved about Mac. He processes those deep concepts very fast and gets the ball out. So probably signal up for Brian Thomas, although the guy's a machine anyways. Signal was already up, right? So I love music. He's healthy too, right? Isn't he? He's back and good to go.
Yeah. It was weird. He got a 91% route share last week, so the role was normal. He only earned 3 targets though, so it just could be one of those weird.
There are some
things.
bad data points. With him. Vikings play a lot of too high.
Yeah.
He sees a 27% reduction. Vikings blitz a lot. He hasn't done crap against the blitz.
So
What's that?
New quarterbacks,
Yeah.
those tendencies we're
Sure,
not
sure,
Yeah.
sure. I don't even know what to do, Graham, with I don't like the running game period in this game
Oh, yeah.
against Minnesota. But can we even pivot over to freaking ETN?
Yeah, I'm out on Jags backs this week. Yeah, ETN's just not healthy. Hamstring, shoulder injury. He's basically spent the entire year on the trainer's table. He also only ran 8 routes last week, which tells me he's really not healthy. Bigsby ran more routes than him. Both these guys are like desperation plays, I think. I mean, with Mack under center, they're huge dogs. Minnesota's a really good run defense, giving up the 3rd fewest yards per game. So, yeah, I'm out here on these guys.
Been kind of bad lately, though, right? Haven't they? Am I making that up?
They've been a little worse, but I still think they're
Detroit got him good. Detroit got him.
Okay.
Yeah, and Detroit gets everybody.
Two adjusted yards before contact allowed over the last 4 games. I mean, it's not nothing.
They shut down JT last week.
They shut down Taylor,
yeah. Colts run game wasn't great.
That's true.
They're one of those units, Brett, I think that they do float a little bit. It's a little fluid, against the run. They were great. Then they were a little sus.
They'll give up yards, but I think they're one of these teams that they just don't give up explosives. That's really it.
Right. Well, Brett, how is the big-headed one playing right now? I mean, just from a rudimentary perspective, I feel like Darnold's been a little better. Maybe it was just one game, but real good spot here, man. I like my boy Addison again. I won that prop last week, and I'm back. It's only like 39 yards.
No, I think we're still seeing bad Darnold. I mean, what he took.
Are we?
Back.
Oh,
2 of them were awful last week. I think he threw a couple bad picks.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. So
Yeah,
now the thing is, he's got so much talent around him, and Kevin O'Connell's such a dude. It doesn't matter. Darnold's going to make a handful of bad plays every game, and he's still going to have great stat lines. So it's fine,
And
I really
complete 28 to 34. 28 to 34 is pretty good, but 2 of them he also completed 30. 2 of them to the other team.
Same thing with the Lions, right? I think he had like a 75% completion rate and 3 turnovers.
True. Yeah,
it's just the deer in headlight sacks where he just holds the ball way too long.
It cracks me up. Caleb had a bunch of those this week too. But
Yeah,
John, I like Addison this week. I think I said that on your show yesterday. His 42.5 prop line is really attractive to me. Addison does really, really well with these 2 high looks. Like this is a good spot.
I already went in on it. It's lower than that, by the way. I got in today at 430, 39.5.
Oh wow. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
And Vikings, the Jaguars are allowing 125 yards a game to outside receivers. So it's a good spot for Addison.
Monteric Brown.
Yeah, Monteric Brown.
Yeah. And then of course, Mr. JJ. I don't know, Graham, where are you with Hawkinson? I'd say like at best, like tight end 11 this week.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I like him as a low end tight end 1. I think the top of the tight end board is actually pretty good this week, but Hawk is probably at the top-ish of the non-elite guys. I mean, Jags have just been so bad in the secondary, but they're giving up a ton of production to tight ends too. Nearly 18 PPR points per game to tight ends over the last 5 weeks. George Kittle's averaging 18 PPR points per game, so it's an amazing spot for Hawk here. I love the Addison shout. That's a great one. Can definitely see Addison ripping off like a 25-yarder in this game.
Yeah, but the only downside is I think I've won 2 in a row, but it's been close. He just does not get. My man's got to maximize the target. Or did I lose that one on Thursday? No, I can't even freaking remember at this point.
His prop was 40, and he went for 42. It was tight.
Well, there you go. No. He got 22. That one freaking lost.
I'm thinking of the wrong game then, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that was crushing 2 weeks ago. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Anyway, Denver, KC. I don't know if you guys heard. I on this VSiN show. I've been doing unbelievably on the specials, and my Monday night special was Mahomes 3 or more tutties plus 285.
Ooh,
and it hit.
Wow.
And that was on the heels last Thursday. I had Garrett Wilson 90 or more plus 280, and that hit on the nose. So it's been crazy. By the way, mine this tonight was it was a little more basic, but it was Mandrews Mark Andrews touchdown plus 175. Like,
Nice.
look good to me. What do you think?
That's a nice play. Yeah, I like that. Lamar's balling out. But
Andrews
Brett, I've been
Oh, sorry. Yeah. He has 6 end zone targets the last 4 weeks. That's a great prop, John. I love that.
Yeah. Hopefully it hits again. I've hit 13 out of 17, that's crazy. Like I know I'm going to fall off a freaking cliff at some point. Denver out of Denver and Kansas City. All right, the Bo Nix check here. My instincts are it's a smoke and mirror job, but I sense, Brett, that I'm wrong at this point. What do you think?
What do you mean by that exactly?
I just think a lot of it is like schemed up, kind of quick, roll out, read, kind of, like not necessarily sustainable.
It's Sean Payton's West Coast offense. He's definitely getting a lot of stuff handed to him for sure. This is a house of horrors matchup for him, though. Go back to how he started the year against Mike McDonald and Todd Bowles and these guys. Spagnuolo is going to have Bo Nix in an absolute mind blender the entire game. I think this is a horrible matchup for Bo Nix. I'm not touching anyone in that offense because of it. Run.
Well, has your opinion on Bo Nix gotten better or worse?
Oh, I think he's impressed me for sure. He's settled down, but against defenses like this where you're going to have, your post-snap look changing on every snap, you're not going to know where pressure's coming from. There's all this sim pressure. Those are the looks Nix has struggled with going back to his days at Auburn, actually. So, and then just so far this season, this will be the 4th game against a defense like this, and the Chiefs obviously do it as good as anybody. So I'm just, my opinion has grown of Nix, but I think this is going to be a come down to earth moment for him for sure.
But he'll probably always be a little inconsistent. Let's be honest here. I mean, anyone can get better in the pros, but based on his 17-year college career, he might be a little matchup specific guy.
Yeah, and he just probably needs better stuff around him, right? Like he's got nothing in the cupboard. Man. So.
Right, it's true too. That is very true. Yeah. Well, Graham, where are you with our backfield mate, Mr. Javonte? It's like whenever Javonte has a tough matchup, start him because I've benched him in 2 of the last 3 games, and he's actually done decently.
Yeah, this is another spot just like last week where it's going to be hard to find, yards on the ground. I mean, Broncos are just huge dogs for all the reasons that Brett was just lining up. We're kind of out on this offense. And then, oh, by the way, Chiefs are allowing just 51 yards per game to opposing running backs. I do kind of believe Sean Payton that wants to get a look at Audric Estime, just see what he has with them at the rest of the season. So I'm pretty concerned. I've been concerned all year about Javonte's volume, but especially now down the stretch, he cannot afford to lose volume, and this is a brutal spot.
They do give up some catches, but yeah,
it's a tough one. Brett, I've been wanting to ask you, what do you think of the Chiefs' offense last week, and do you think Mahomes found something with Nuke?
Oh yeah,
nice. Totally.
It's exactly what I thought would happen with Nuke, right? Like he's still got a little, playing for a winner.
I did too.
So he's he's giving a little extra gas because he's playing for a winner now, and it's fun. It looks like he's having fun again. I haven't seen this guy in a long time, man. So and I love the usage. It's not just slot. He actually played on the outside a lot more than I thought he would, especially after Reed said he would be in the Rashee Rice role. Like he was out wide more than he was in the slot actually, and like nobody would believe that if you told him that, right? But just the route running from the slot looks great, and then the contested catch stuff that Nuke has always been good at. I mean, he's got that rapport with Mahomes already, and if Mahomes trusts you, man, you're going to rack up fantasy points. It's as simple as that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, is it enough to trust Mahomes in fantasy? Because he's been like a replacement level quarterback for
that was his best week in a long time.
I would say I would say yes. I've actually been stating I had him in the trade article. My guys, 2 weeks ago, he's on pace to throw 17 touchdowns. Like that shit's not happening.
Yeah, you did.
And since then, he's got 5. He's got 5. So I feel good. Now, and by the way, Brett, I think D-Hop can unlock Worthy a little bit.
Something needs to unlock Worthy because now.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a few weeks too, and I'm kind of out on that. Especially, guys, that play, Mahomes did not throw the best ball on that 35-yard should be touchdown. It was a little late, but Worthy just completely lost track of where he was on the field. That was egregiously bad.
Go read the prospect profile in my negative section of Worthy, and you will find cannot track deep ball as the first.
Well, that was Brett. That was one of the main reasons why I didn't like him. Yeah. In addition to being a rookie, and again, Rashee Rice was a freaking outlier. That's why I wasn't that worried about Rashee Rice last year, because he was a rookie himself, but he was an outlier. Like I said, Tyreek Hill.
They are trying with Worthy. They are trying. So his slot rate is almost doubled since early in the season. So they're trying. Right. Now the problem is if they keep trying things and it keeps not working, that's when you get Sky Moored. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Something's got to give here. Like if he doesn't start producing, I mean, they don't have a ton of options, obviously, but it is concerning.
But guys can be plopped into this offense and crawl up into a freaking ball like Sky Moore. Didn't help that they put him out there on those freaking kick returns in big spots, and he'd never done it in college. I believe that's a big part of my theory on how he lost it. But it's funny because wasn't it unworthy? It's like a depressed asset. It's like, you know what? Now everyone's down. Now I'm ready to buy. That's how I feel about it right now. By the way, you know what? I'm ready to sell Kareem Hunt. I put him in the trade article, and then boom, yesterday popped up with a quad injury. So. But what do you think? Sell Kareem Hunt, Graham? Or, I mean, obviously if you need him, you're hanging on to him and just praying. But what do you think?
Yeah, Pacheco is looking like December. Edwin has been saying December for him. Obviously, he broke his leg, so huge disclaimer that he probably won't get a huge role. But, yeah, this is probably going to be some sort of split backfield when he does get back. And, I mean, Kareem's just a fraction of the player that he was coming out of Toledo. So, definitely could see some big drop in efficiency as the season goes on. I do like that call.
Yeah. Probably get hurt too at some point or whatever seed carries. And will his value be any higher than it is right now? Probably not.
No.
And then by the way, for KC, Brett, we are projecting, to your point about D-Hop. Oh, look, it looks great. Now meet Pat Surtain. So, right?
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they hide him in the slot a little bit more, kind of how you saw Baltimore hide Zay last week.
That is what I'm leaning to. And we saw the slot rate come up big time for Nuke last week, 45% in the slot.
Right.
I think they can avoid Surtain that way, and that would mean Xavier Worthy's probably going to be on Surtain a lot, which is not great.
Oh, that's not good. No.
Hold this 0.
Kelsey does pretty good against single high. Bad schematic for Bo and Sutton moving on to Atlanta, New Orleans. I mean, the Saints, we don't really need to talk about the Saints other than Al Kamara. I mean, they're dead. They are officially dead. I mean, Graham, this is one of the most skanktastic receiving cores around. I mean, right now, this is brutal.
Yeah, they deserve their own skank trophy, John. They're in like a Hall of Fame of skank here. It's really bad. It's Kamara, and I kind of like Taysom again. I was saying last week at Taysom and DFS. Yeah,
we told a couple people to start him.
Yeah, no, we did. Yeah, we did. And I was saying Taysom
wasn't me. I
won't
like, take any credit.
I think Taysom, if you're absolutely desperate for a tight end play, look, he's going to get 5, 6, 7 carries. He's going to run a route on 40% of the dropbacks, get a few targets. They're completely dead at receiver, like you were just saying. And he and Kamara has split goal line carries. Kamara has 9 carries inside the 10. Hill has 4. So he has a little bit of touchdown juice too. But yeah, beyond that, the Saints are very, very dead. I wanted to ask you, Brett, what do you think the Saints do this week defensively? They've been playing a ton of man coverage. Mooney has been crushing man, but they just traded Lattimore. What's your vibe on the matchup here for Falcons?
I would imagine in a week where they just fired their head coach, they probably have to keep the install relatively the same. Yeah. So I'm not sure they deviate from man a ton. They like Alontae Taylor in man too, though. And he's arguably been better than Lattimore this year, even. So
he's good. Yeah, he's good.
Player. So,
well, if that's the case, man, Mooney's going to eat. Mooney's got nearly a 30% target share, 2.7 yards per route run against man. I'm going to be open Mooney this week. Oh yeah,
the cat.
John, I think you watched like 3 games of Darnell Mooney, his rookie year. And I remember you messaging. You were like, "Yeah, he's just good. He's good."
That's it. I've seen it. I've seen it now. He's the cat. I mean, he's quick as shit off the line.
Yeah,
you know?
he is. He is so good in and out of breaks.
Yeah. Yeah, like in an old school way. Brett, I'm going to ask you a question. From right now until the end of time, who has more scrimmage yards in their career, Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey? Kamara's 1 year older.
Oh, same draft class though, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Man, from now until the end of
I'm going Kamara because that dude's got unbelievable DNA.
yeah, I think I'm going Kamara. The double Achilles tendonitis freaks me out with CMC, so
Yeah.
I'll go Kamara too. I have a hilarious stat
Graham.
for this, by the way. I have to say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can get Graham's answer first on the.
Yeah.
I'm going McCaffrey because he's a freak.
Oh. Okay.
He's just as freaky as Kamara. But yeah, what's your stat, Brett? I want to hear it.
Atlanta's defense in the passing game, they have the second most completions allowed to running backs, but they're giving up 95% of targets to running backs, which is mind-blowingly weird in too high coverage, by the way. So they are, I mean, this is
just giving it up.
Yeah, they're literally just giving it up. They're like, hey, we'll let you beat us
Yeah.
with this and we'll shut down other stuff. So that's
been a thing in Atlanta forever. They give up catches forever. It doesn't even matter who the coordinator is on defense, I don't think.
Well, it's funny because their coordinators have all come from the same coaching tree. Like you've had Dan
Well,
Quinn.
there you go.
They all play
There you
this
go.
shell
That's
cover
right.
three, and
That's correct.
So.
Well, I
We should
did
just
a
be
radio
jamming-
show.
We should be jamming Kamara overs then.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Grinder's already on it.
Nice.
I like an idiot didn't put it up yet, but I will. But I did a radio show with Roddy White, Brett, and Graham. I believe you know this, but when he was still in the league, it was first year with Shanahan, I believe, was there. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, what is up with you guys giving up them catches? He goes, oh man, we just give them up. We just give them up and fly to the ball. I'm like, good to know. And that was it, man. Yeah. So anyways, well, any thoughts on, this doesn't look like a wonderful schematic matchup for Bijan, for what it's worth. But man, Brett, Bijan looks damn good.
You're right. Bijan looks great. They're outside zone heavy. Saints are one of the best defenses in the league against outside zone. So, that is a thing. Although I'm just not sure it matters. Like I think maybe sometimes we get too granular with the data when it comes to that.
Sure.
It's like he just has to make one guy miss, and he's off to the races. So
for sure. I mean, Jesus, I got him at 1 in my rankings. Jeez, but yeah, man. He is in the passing game too. That's part of it. But man, he's hey, thank you. Unlike Breece Hall, by the way. I had my flawless 4, I called them, and they're kind of flawless, but not as much for Breece Hall, and Jonathan Taylor got hurt. But anyways, Kirky, professional quarterback, man, he's kind of settled in here. Like it feels like Kirky's been here for about 3 years, Brett.
Dude, this offense looks awesome. It reminds me of what we saw in Minnesota for years. I mean,
exactly.
Just highly functional, highly efficient. They're going to get theirs, a lot of yards, a lot of TDs. It is. Yeah, it's really impressive stuff. The Kyle Pitts usage is so good. Love since I've been talking about them using them in a Gronk role, it's been mostly vertical routes from him. A lot of good targets from the inline position as well. So I love everything I'm seeing from Atlanta. They know what they're doing.
Graham, can you imagine you're in a 16-team super flex dynasty and you get Kirky in round 5 in 2012 and you get 14 years of production. I mean, that's an ROI right there.
Yeah. I mean, if you have been sitting on Kirk in Superflex Dynasty, man, you've just been caking your QB 15 performances every single week, just taking it straight to the ATM.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to San Fran, Tampa. I feel, Tampa's secondary is bad. Brock Purdy should do well. I was worried about Baker last week. He did what he could. But another tough spot. I'll go to you, Brett. Like you're the Niner puzzle solver. Can the Bucs move the ball this week against the Niners? It's in Tampa.
Yeah, so
Line's pretty good.
I did pick Tampa to win this game. So
whoa,
yep.
Ooh, give me the
Yep.
reasoning.
Every time I pick someone to beat San Fran, it's for the same reason. If you can pass protect, you can beat San Fran. It's so simple. Right. It's hilarious, but it's true. I literally haven't missed yet this year on this call. So I'm going Tampa. Their pass protection unit looks great. Baker's still dealing. I thought his last game actually he only had like 200 yards passing and didn't have any weapons.
I know he did play well.
I thought he looked awesome. Complete command of the offense. Understood what he was doing. He got Todd Bowles, unfortunately, and lost the game. But they should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is a much easier matchup. You can move the ball decently against Kansas City. You can absolutely move the ball against the 49ers here. So I'm all over this. I love it.
I think their O-line has been pretty good. I haven't looked at really much, but like Graham, don't call me Barfield, Barton. I almost feels like Cody Mauch is doing all right, Brett.
The whole line looks great. Barton has really unlocked a lot for them because the center position since Jensen retired was a problem.
I will say I was still in on Rachaad White, and I wrote that's why, because I think what, that Graham, because they lost Jensen last year and they sucked. I'm like, if they can just block it up just a little bit more for Rachaad, you got to block it up, and that's exactly what's kind of happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Lowest pressure rate allowed in the NFL, by the way, this offensive line. Like they are blocking their tails off. Now, some of that
Tristan Wirfs is the man.
Tristan Wirfs is awesome.
Yeah.
Baker's getting rid of the ball quickly, so I will give him that. Like it's not just it's a combination of good scheme, getting the ball out quick. Liam Cohen is doing a very good job, I think, especially considering the injuries to the wide receivers. But
I thought his usage of Otten last week was awesome. Like I never thought Cade Otten was a really good player after the catch, but they used him on like underneath stuff, drags, crossers, trying to get him the ball in space, just get him free. It was really good stuff given. They lost Jalen McMillan. Sterling Shepard was dealing with a hamstring injury. But you've been on it. I like that call a lot. I got to get your guys' opinion on, obviously this is a great spot for Debo. McCaffrey's back. Great spot for Kittle.
Yeah.
What do we think about Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall? How do we see that playing out? Because this is such a good spot for slot production. We've been targeting the Bucs all year for slot production, giving up the second most yards per game. Jennings hasn't played with Pearsall yet, but Brett, how do you see that playing out between these two? How do you think they deploy Jennings and Pearsall with Debo?
So I want to say that the draft capital suggests Pearsall should be on the field, right, in the slot.
Yeah.
It's just tough because when Jennings has been called on in spots, he's obviously produced, man. I honestly don't know, man. I don't know. This is tough. Like with Debo back in the fold, this makes it really tricky to me.
So you don't think Pearsall should take Ayuk's place, basically?
I think he should. Are they going to use him that way? I don't know.
Right. Right. Well, Ricky will tell you he could do it. Obviously, I'm trying to think of what he said. Like, I guess he said he basically didn't want to be pigeonholed into a slot, but he expects to get, as most young receivers do, to kind of start out there, basically.
Man, Pearsall's twitchy, though, man. I think he could really be good underneath. And most of his routes have been on horizontal concepts. I think 58% we've got him at in our charting. So it's interesting. It's such a good spot. I'm leaning towards your way, Brett, at least for this week with Jennings. I think he probably gets more routes, especially inside the slot where he's been lining up. So that's the way I'm leaning this week with Jennings being the better play. But it is interesting. I think Ricky Pearsall and Jennings are both like great long-term stashes, not just because Purdy's playing well.
Sure.
But, if Debo misses more time, man, these two could be gold right now.
Jennings has been absolute. Speaking of gold, Brock Purdy freaking trusts Jennings a lot. Why wouldn't he? He's big down the stretch last year and early this year too. I love Debo here. Like, to me, this is a game where Debo gets like 4 for 50 in the first freaking drive or two. You know what I mean? One of those games, but who knows? But I definitely love him here. Moving on to Pittsburgh at DC. This is pretty interesting. You got to give it up to Russ, man. He's making everything better. And Brett, I know you like Najee. Let's go, our guy. It's dangerous to back Najee, but I go there. I don't know why, but I go there because it's so, man, it's ugly downside if it doesn't go well, Brett. But I'm feeling good here. about the last 3 weeks, this matchup, and even beyond?
Yeah, I got a slew of numbers to throw at you guys. Washington run D ranks 32nd in number of plays allowing a positive EPA per run. That is insane. 31st in success rate allowed defending the run, 55.4%. 31st in explosive run rate allowed. 30th in adjusted yards before contact allowed. And then Najee over the last 3 weeks, 20 touches a game, 3rd in rushing yards, 1st in explosive run rate, 1st in forced missed tackles, 2nd in yards after contact, and 2nd in yards per carry. He's averaging 5.96 yards per carry the last 3 weeks. That's got to be the highest mark in the 3-game stretch of his career. Then on the season now, he's up top 15 in pretty much every discernible metric. He looks great. Zone-heavy scheme is what they've done. They got rid of all the power, all the counter. They just said, hey, man, go get downhill, go lower, play with your pads. And since they've done that, 5 yards a carry. So really
he gets that momentum going, you know?
Yeah. And Russ is at his best on either the play action, bootleg stuff or the read option stuff. That's come back a little bit with them, and that's really invigorated this run game, honestly.
Yeah. Graham, I still like Warren as a pick up or hell, even a buy low. Like Warren is going to have some big games going forward, I think.
Yeah, I've been saying Warren's a buy low, but I'm kind of gone the other way after watching Najee and then looking at the numbers. I mean, Harris is just blasting him in yards after contact and missed tackles forced, and that's been the opposite for the previous 2 seasons. Najee's just playing really, really well. So right now, I think Warren's just like a really good handcuff who could have some flex weeks. I just wanted to shout out Russ. Like I thought he was complete dust. I'll be honest. Like I thought he was. Yeah. I thought it was over. That 44-yard or 50-yard throw he had to George Pickens up the sidelines was one of the best throws of the season. I mean, legitimately an absolute dime on a rope. Like that looked like prime Russ. Yeah. And you look at the numbers, Pickens' role by XFP, expected fantasy points, has come up than in the 2 games with Russ than when he was with Fields. Scoring rates come up. Like, I'm not saying that the Steelers are an AFC contender, but like, I was too quick to write off Russ, and man, Mike Tomlin's looking very, very right about the midseason call.
Yeah. I was very high on Pickens. I had him way high. I had him way higher. I'm like, I don't care that they're going to throw it 28 times a game because George is getting 11 of those 28.
That's exactly how it's played out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I in the preseason, I liked because looking at all the data was great on Najee, but it's also great on Warren. Yep. Really good. And the O-line's getting healthier now. Now, this is, and by the way, part of the reason I think Warren is going to be good because they do have a lot of tough games upcoming where they might be playing from behind, like maybe even this week. Then Baltimore. Then they got Cincinnati, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City.
Yeah, they have the hardest remaining schedule for sure.
Yeah, and that's Jalen Warren a little bit more than not. I mean, Najee's going to get his, but those matchups bode well for Warren. But Brett, I am a little worried about Jaden Daniels here. We're not running as much. I mean, he's kind of starting to settle in and settle down a little bit. And this overall is a very challenging matchup, or maybe not. Maybe not because they play man. What do you think?
It's super challenging. I mean, just be honest, Pittsburgh's got the best 4-man rush in the NFL. They don't have to dial up blitzes. It's actually insane. Right. Their average time to throw against is in the 2.2 seconds. That's like unheard of. Teams don't even try to throw deep against Pittsburgh. They don't try to hold the ball. And I think we probably get back to early season, Jaden, where it's like very quick hitters, protect, especially because he's still dealing with the rib a little bit, right? Protect yourself.
The old Zach Ertz.
Yeah, maybe not some Zach Ertz, maybe not a ton of design QB stuff. Man, just it's a tough matchup for sure. Now he is pretty matchup proof, it seems, right? Because he can run. Yeah, he can rip off a long run at any point. But
good data on McLaurin, but he's going to see Porter a lot.
Yep.
Against some of the coverages. Yeah. And then what do we think about George? Speaking of George, I mean, is he going to be on Lattimore right away?
I would imagine. It's worth noting Washington has gone to they transition out of this cover 3 stuff to more man heavy, but it's a lot of single high. And even when they play that cover 3 now, it's very much, man mirror match type stuff. So on the outside, Yeah, I think they stick with it. I think they went and got Lattimore, obviously, to lean into that identity a little bit more, even that they have a true dog now, an alpha that can lock down ones. Yeah, I think you definitely get a lot of Lattimore on Pickens this week for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what else I like there, Graham. I mean, Pat Fryermuth. I'm not even sure. Moving on to Tennessee, LA. Brett, my contention, again, this is just using common sense. I'm like, maybe they're opening it up a little bit because they realize, you know what, guys, we really can't be a run-heavy team based on our personnel. I mean, they don't have a very good running back room, yet the receiver room's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be a contention. I think it is fascinating because the last 3 games, they've been at least plus 5% in pass rate over expectation, which it's like, did the world end? That's Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman we're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, it's J.K. Dobbins who started showing signs of sluggishness.
I personally think it's all Herbert's health. He was so beat up. Right. He didn't practice at all in August, and then he hurt his ankle. Right. Now he's fully healthy, and it's like, all right, this dude is awesome. Let's just keep letting him throw more and more because
the receiver room, as much as they got mocked for it, it's coming together. Ladd is a dude. Quentin Johnston, they've found a really nice role for him. Palmer had a good game the other day. I think Palmer is playing the best football of the season. Started rough for him early in the year, being banged up, but man, I do think that's part of it too. The receiver room is really
for sure. I like Palmer. He was one of my favorite 13th round picks. It hadn't really worked out, but a little better late than never. Otherwise, I mean, Tennessee, it's the same old story, Graham. It's like there's really only one question. You're starting Pollard. The question is, do you start Ridley? That's it. So do you start Ridley?
It's not a standout matchup by any means, but the volume has just been amazing. Chargers playing a ton of single coverage, so he'll get some single coverage, but 23 total targets last 2 weeks, 41% of the first 3 targets. So sure, on paper, not a great matchup, but I am absolutely chasing that volume. I think the biggest question here is whether or not the Titans play Will Levis once again. He's healthy-ish. I think they might try to give him one more shot. So if it's Levis, it's definitely a big stock down on Ridley. I was gonna say, man, I haven't been excited to play Justin Herbert in fantasy football at all this year, but I think this might be the first week I'm there. Between the pass rate coming up, maybe the Titans can keep this game close-ish, and Chargers keep throwing it a little bit more. I think Herbert is finally on the board if you need a streamer in 1 quarterback leagues.
Titans also have a phenomenal run defense for what it's worth.
Yeah, they do.
Andre Sweat, he's making a case for rookie of the year. Their nose tackle there, just reminds me of Snacks Harrison, vintage Snacks Harrison, just an absolute monster.
They're they're pass funnel-ish. L'Jarius Sneed's not playing well this year. He's been beat up too, but yeah, I like this spot for Herbert.
By the way, Brett, what do you think of the Titans O-line? Let's not forget, this line was absolute rubbish this time last year, and seems like they've been pretty good. I don't know. I'm not checking everything here, but what do they look like to you?
They're good in the run game, pretty bad in pass pro, is what I would say.
That's what I mean, the run game. It's because I have Pollard in fantasy in every league. Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, they did just lose their center for the season. Lloyd Cushenberry, which is one of the the league.
Love Cush.
And they just brought him over.
Yeah, and he does all their checks at the line. He's so they're gonna have to figure that out. Obviously, that could affect Pollard dramatically, though. But we'll see.
Oh, that sucks. But Pollard has definitely surprised me. Even though, again, I love Spears, and I was so far barking up the wrong tree.
He's been hurt all year, man. Just has not been able to stay healthy. Yeah.
But ironically, I somehow ended up with Pollard because it just got to the point where it was so egregious. I'm like, 7th round. All right, give me Pollard. Jets at Arizona. Well, we'll see our guy Max Melton this week on another Hall of Famer, Devontae Adams. Where are you? Are we coming together here? That was an ugly first half last Thursday, man. I'm like, what the hell was that? But we did come together. Brad, I mean, where are you with the Jets offense? Can we get back to Brees Hall? I'd say.
I mean, maybe. Arizona has a horrendous run defense, so that would be a great time to get Brees involved. I just think Rodgers is trying to do so much. It's like he's trying to win with his arm. So, like, all these throws are just highly contested, back shoulder, go balls. Like, he's not making it easy.
You know what it looks like? You know what it looks like? It looks like me playing softball in a league with one of our former workers when I was 47. It's like my brain thought I could do a lot of things that my body is like, nah, you can't do that, dude. What the hell are you doing? That's what it kind of seems like to me.
That's exactly it. I mean, Rodgers is just, he's kind of a statue in the pocket right now. So he has to make the ridiculous, hero throws time and time again. I guess, he can keep doing it when Garrett Wilson's, jump manning people for one-handed catches out there. And Adams' separation looked much better last week. Releases off the line looked really, really vintage.
He was back.
For sure.
Yeah. Looked really, really good. That's the one thing is just he is going to go. Rodgers is going to go as far as Wilson and Adams take him. On the other side, this is a horrific spot for Kyler. He has just been so up and down. Jets secondary has been so good. They do play a lot of one high, which helps Marv. But John, it's like pulling teeth with Kyler at this point. It's just brutal. They only had to throw it 20 times last week because Chicago's offense was so bad they didn't have to do anything. But man, it's like
they're going to run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Jets run defense
with Connor
is suspect as well.
Yeah, that's a great call. Yep. That's a great call.
I just want to
Mosley is out too still, I think, right?
Yeah, I think he is. I want to dote on Marvin Harrison Jr. though a little bit. His ass has come raging back. He had no back, no right into legs, no ass. And it's come reaching back. This guy the last few weeks just looks really good. Like really good separation, really crispy, smooth route running. I think he's, he looks a little more relaxed, like he's just letting his body do the work, and it looks great. So, not saying this is a good matchup for him or anything. I just wanted to point that out. That Marv looks the part. He looks like he.
Speaking of nice. Speaking of ass, real quick, I did have a recent epiphany. Yeah, I do have a bad ass, but I'm like, yeah, I used to have a good ass. Like, what happened? And I'm like, you know what? Maybe sitting on it literally for 30 straight years flattened my freaking ass out.
You gotta get those glute workouts in, John. You gotta get the squats in there.
Yeah. Well, no, I haven't done that for about 8 years. But Philly at Dallas, looks like we're gonna get AJ Brown and Skinny B.
Yeah,
and looks good. Full green light there. I don't know if Deron Bland is back. Micah Parsons is back, but but Brett, the other thing is you got to be careful with Philly props. I noticed last week, I was like, yeah, man, that Jalen Hurts prop was down. It was like 212 or something because this is they're leaning into the running game big time.
They are, but Hurts is playing the best ball he's played in a long time.
Yep.
That is true. Yeah, it's true.
I'm feeling really good. Because I've probably been Hurts' biggest critic this year, and then man, he looked great, looks really great. So
he does, yeah.
The whole offense is back. Skinny Batman looks good. AJ's back, playing well. So and then Saquon's.
So Kellen Moore's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's figured it out. Play action rates have gone up. Motion rates have gone up. I like that they move Brown and Skinny Batman around to get the matchups they want to, which is what Kellen Moore's been known for his entire career. That's the one thing he's good at is like I can exploit a good matchup. So love what I'm seeing from that offense. They look back, and then Saquon's just freaking ridiculous, guys. And Dallas has no. They lack effort defending the run. Legitimately, you see it on tape. These guys are standing up at the line of scrimmage. They want none of the smoke. And so
they've lost that. I think the locker room is just done.
Yeah, it's over.
They see these old heads coaching them. Zimmer. Really? Zimmer? Zimmer, Mr. Defense, getting his team to the 2017 NFC title game, and he had absolutely no answers for Nick Foles, like none. Anyways, well, Graham, you are the Cooper Rush to CeeDee Lamb optimist per your Twitter account. So, how big of a drop off are we looking at for CD with Cooper Rush?
Yeah, it's a drop off for sure. Dak's not been playing excellent this season. He's been a little bit of a roller coaster. I'm not going to sit here and say Cooper Rush is going to play better than him, but yeah, I mean, it was okay. Back in 22, they had 5 games together. Rush got him in catchable target 79% of the time. Dak's at 83% this season. So, the downfield stuff is what we're going to lose, obviously. Rush just doesn't have the arm talent that Dak has. We don't need to talk about that. But he's reasonably accurate, can run the offense reasonably well. It's just going to be a lot, lower ceiling. John, I wanted to ask you what you think about Jake Ferguson moving forward, because the volume should still be there, right? But
I still feel good about him. I think Cooper Rush is the type of guy it's not that, I mean, they're not using him very exotically, Brett, would you say? We're not getting a lot of the seam routes this year, I don't think.
No, Dallas uses their tight ends, at least in the McCarthy era, the same way. It's dump offs, check downs, flat routes, hitches in the middle of zone cover. Just go uncover in zone, show us your numbers, and you're good. Yeah, nothing too dynamic there, but it works. It's great for PPR.
Don't you think Rush will be able to get him 4 or 5 grabs a game?
Yeah, I don't think Ferguson's role really is affected by Rush. I think I would be more worried about CD, Tolbert, whoever's playing on the outside.
And I heard I heard a rumor. I was told people are telling me that you kind of like that Mingo trade. I kind of see, I could see them looking at Mingo as like a Debo guy, like a Ayuk Debo deal or something like that. What'd you like about Mingo there?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it. We all love to buy low on fantasy. And
right.
I think they bought low on Mingo. He was the 39th pick a year ago. My profile on him was that he profiled best as a power slot type guy. He reminded me a lot of AJ Brown coming out or Debo, where you're just going to feed him underneath targets and design touches and get the ball in his hand. It's very similar to Xavier Legette, obviously, who's kind of basically ran him out of town. But CD Lamb is so much better on the outside. He's so much more efficient. The ass is better. The yards per route run is better on the outside. Getting that power slot candidate to play next to CD, I think, could really be good for the offense. I just don't think it was a move done for this year, though. I think it was for next year.
Yeah. Well, Graham, in our dynasty league, my team was literally dead. And all of us dead. And all of a sudden I've got I'm bursting. I got Mingo, I got Tolbert, I got Josh Downs. I mean, it's looking good here, which probably means something bad is going to happen soon. But it's incredible how quickly things can turn around with a young receiving core. It's like a lad. Anyways, bop. Let's move on. Well, do we need to talk about Rico Dowdle? I mean, Philly's defense. By the way, I kind of half kidding said halftime of week 1 that Vic Fangio has fixed the Eagles defense, which I kind of did see that. And then they gave up. I got mocked, of course. But Brett, it kind of seems like Vic Fangio's fixed the Eagles defense.
Yeah, it's funny because both these coordinators have really turned things around, obviously. So the pass rush is coming alive. The interior guys are playing well. Nolan Smith has a pulse, guys. That's been big.
Yeah.
And then the 2 rookie corners they have, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell are just balling out right now. Both legit rookie of the year candidates there. So
Quinyon Mitchell is like the prototype. He's like the exact prototype that you want, I think, for corners these days.
He's going to be one of the top 7 guys we're scared about soon.
Yeah, especially in that type of zone defense that they play. He's so instinctual, such good ball skills.
Yeah,
he's beautiful.
John, I do want to talk Rico Dowdle a little bit. I was saying buy low last week because Zeke and Dalvin are dusty, and then Dowdle got 73% of the snaps, career high, and then we lose Dak. But I do think the volume should be good for Dowdle rest of the season. Yeah. It's a good spot, reasonably good spot. You can run on the Eagles a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, look, there's Zeke is dead. I mean, that's a bad sign too for the locker room too, because Zeke was like a model of citizen on the shitty Patriots last year. Detroit at Houston. Brett, your Lions are killing me over here. They're too good. Freaking Jared Goff completing 18 balls every week. It's unbelievable. What do you think of this spot here? Houston pretty good against the run. I don't know. How do they decide? How do they operate? I guess they do the same thing every week. But anyone stand out to you? For me, I guess Amon-Ra, right? Good matchup here. Petrie. What jumps out?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, this is a ship that's just rolling. The question is will it be a close enough game that these guys have to play the entire game? That's
a problem too.
It hasn't been a thing. I mean, seriously, these guys are, whether they're not necessarily getting pulled out of games, but they're in cruise control in the second half. So it's kind of ridiculous. I like everything. No one's stopping the run game. J-Mo's back this week, and I think this team loves J-Mo so much. They feel like he's getting picked on right now. I would not be shocked if they went out of their way to just absolutely FU the league and get J-Mo a career day. You've seen this multiple times now. The Lions are just blaze of glory, double middle fingers. Shoot, they were throwing, hook and ladders to Penei Sewell and end zone targets to Taylor Decker against the Cowboys. They do not. They are, they're playing with a little bit of attitude right now. So I would not be shocked if J-Mo just gets dapped up and they're going all in with him. So.
All right.
Well, that's all I needed to hear, because I've been on the fence on J-Mo all week, because it's a pretty good matchup. I think Texans secondary is overrated, but that was my concern. It's missed a couple weeks, missed some practices. If you feel that strongly, I'm all in.
So it's not a scheme thing; it's a vibe thing. That's the vibe I have.
No, I love it.
This team loves J-Mo so much. The coaching staff, every player. Listen to the way St. Brown talks to him. Listen to the way Montgomery talks. They love this kid. So I think they're going to go purposely just FU the league and get J-Mo a career day here.
It's like vibes on vibes. There's not a team in the league that has better vibes right now than the Lions.
I love the absolutely not. Yeah. By the way, he is the new Deshaun Jackson, though. When you're considering Jameson, it's you got to consider, it's an upside play. Because you got to be aware of the downside. He could have some downside here.
You 1 for even 7 if he's or 4 for 100.
Yeah. Even if he's playing at a high level, he could have downside here. Because again, they're only completing 18 balls. It's unbelievable. But yeah. By the way, for the record, not that anyone gives a shit or cares. I don't know why I'm cursing a lot tonight. But as a lifelong Vikings fan, I will happily concede a Lombardi to the Lions. I'm here for it. All right, I'm officially here for it. I've spoken to Dan Campbell. I looked into the man's eyes, and I believe everything he says. So I'm in. Let's go next. Well, what do you think about Stroud? We're probably not going to get Nico back.
No.
Man, they're struggling. That O-line. What the hell happened, Brett?
They overperformed last year. Stroud got away with a lot last year, guys. His passer rating now without Nico Collins is under 70 in his career.
Oh,
and that's a 7-game sample. Seven.
That's really bad. I mean, he totally looks like a rookie.
It's weird. It obviously shows you how good Nico is, but it also shows you how important it is for your quarterback to have his dudes, man. That is a crazy split, because I think with Nico, his passer rating's over 110. So it's a complete flip 180. So we're well over 200 dropbacks now with that sample size. So it's pretty ridiculous. But
everything's caught up to him. And I actually did call this. Brian Drake keeps bringing up in the preseason. I said, look, it's too good to be true. I'm sorry. You got Tank Dell was better. I like Tank Dell, but better than a lot of people thought. Nico ascended. Stroud's amazing. Oh, who's that? Stephon Diggs. Oh my God. It's it's just, I don't know why. Second year slump deal too. I think that's a thing.
I do. I mean, this is the best spot, objectively the best spot he's had. I mean, they just they were on a short week.
Nico.
The Jets last week. No Nico.
Right.
Detroit's pass rush hasn't been as good without Hutch, obviously. Huge total. So I can get behind Stroud a little bit this week, at least more so than I have been in the last month, but it's still not something I'm excited about.
Brett, what do you think of this notion? The Lions are still playing man a lot, right?
Yes.
So you don't use Schultz against – you want him anywhere near man. What about Tank Dell here? See a little Carlton Davis.
I don't know. Detroit's secondary is playing absolutely lights out right now. It's tough. I mean, I know they've given up a lot of yards because of game script type stuff.
Branch is freaking everywhere.
Branch is
they're getting a lot better on the boundary, but they're beatable through the slot. The problem is Dell just doesn't play in the slot very often. They don't move him inside much.
That's shocking to hear, because Amik Robertson is allowing a catch rate of 59% this year, which is the third best for any slot corner. So I'm wondering if that's just their zone looks. When they go zone, they're getting beat in the slot. Maybe I know Reed did have a long one last week against them from the slot, so maybe
Yeah, it's just bulk production because their outside corners are pretty good right now.
Yeah, they challenge.
And last but not least,
because they're not just playing man, they're playing press man, so they challenge every single throw.
Oh, that could be a problem against Tank. He's not a big man. Miami, I mean, that could be a real big problem. Miami at the LA Rams. I'm feeling Tyreek, and I'm feeling like this is going to be the first showing of maybe the old Dolphins. Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a great spot. Rams have been soft in pass coverage all year. Miami's defense, furthermore, also stinks. So I think Stafford and the boys, Puka and Cooper, are going to be rolling, which means Miami's going to have to be rolling, right? It is crazy to me, too. I have to point this out. How we've talked about Cincinnati and how different they are with T. When Tua's in the game, Miami's run game is so much better. All the ball handling stuff he does, I know it's an underrated thing you can't quantify, but watch Tua with the ball handling, all the different fakes they do. He's so much better at it than any quarterback. All the other guys they've thrown in there. Skylar
deceptive.
Thompson. Yeah, so deceptive. It just makes it work, which then in turn opens up the pass game because he's, they're in 2nd and 2 and 3rd and 1 every freaking set of downs. So I do agree, though. I think this is a big Tyreek week. LA's, their corners have been getting cooked all year. So.
Yep. Yeah, I went in on his prop 78.5. That's a big number for me, but it's also freaking Tyreek. I mean, he's come close to that in frustrating games lately.
I mean, John, we were getting Tyreek in the 90s and 100s in some weeks last year. So, anything below 80 for prop is probably a buy low for him. I think this game should be the highest game total of the week beyond Bengals Ravens tonight. Last 2 games with Miami, Brett, you just nailed it. I mean, the Dolphins defense has been exposed. 55 and 57 total points scored in their last 2 games combined. They basically just didn't play any good quarterbacks until the last 2 weeks they played Kyler and Josh Allen. And Stafford is on freaking fire. Last 10 games with Kupp and Nakua, he's averaging 19.6 fantasy points per game. That'd be like top 8 among fantasy quarterbacks. I'm in on Stafford big time. I've been saying buy low on Stafford. I think he has underrated upside for the rest of the season. And I think you can play Tua in this game. I've never been a Tua mark. I've never touted Tua in fantasy, but I think this is a good spot for him just because we love Tyreek. This game total should go off. This is one of those games where I think you play everybody, John, except for Jalen Waddle. The role is it's gone, man. He's 4th on the team in targets behind Achane and Jonnu Smith now.
Make it make sense, dude. It hurts my brain. Oh.
I feel like
a fake sharp.
He is.
I feel like this could be a Waddle week, though. Like Jonnu. Do we really need Jonnu? So the Rams have been a perimeter funnel, haven't they?
They have been, and it's the only thing I think is in Waddle's corner this week is the matchup, but the role is just not there.
Rams are giving up a passer rating of 127.9 to outside wide receivers.
Woo!
That's worst in the league. So
there you go. Well, we're off and running on Thursday Night Football, by the way. Jamar Chase already has 32 yards on 2 catches. So we'll end it here for Graham Barfield and Brett Whitefield. There's an hour and 18 minutes of good content. Went a little longer than I was hoping, but it's all good. We thank Thomas Tipple on the other side of the glass for keeping us broadcasting. Good luck this week. We'll catch you next time at FantasyPoints.com.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.